Well, this week, Amazon realized its biggest sales day in its history. Billed as Amazon's Prime Day, it was a 30-hour sale, which saw a 60% increase in sales from the year before. With more people than ever choosing to shop online, the local retail markets in Oklahoma are beginning to see a whole new landscape that is squeezing brick-and-mortar stores out of the picture.
All across Oklahoma, retail landmarks are shuttering their doors. At the busy corner of 21st and Yale in Tulsa, Sears closed its store in April. It had held its location there since 1958. The Sears store in Bartlesville closed last December, and this week, Kmart has announced it is also pulling out of Bartlesville. More closures of Sears and other stores in Oklahoma are planned before the year is out. Financial trackers estimate U.S. retailers are on track to close 8,000 stores this year. Financial director for the city of Tulsa, Mike Kyer, has been watching the national and regional trends.
Roughly a decade ago, it was accounting for about 3.5% of all sales, retail sales. Today, it's up to about 8.5%. So it has grown in that short 10-year period pretty dramatically.
Oklahoma Tax Commission spokesperson Paula Ross says as of June 30th, the state saw this.
The sales tax for FY17 was down 1.6% from FY16, which 1.6% may not sound very much, but you're talking that the sales tax generates about $4.2 billion per year, and so the decrease was like over $68 million.
Analysts say internet sales are not only popular because of convenience, but because in many cases the transactions cost less.
And I go to websites and their homepage says no sales tax. That's the reason to buy from us, is we don't have sales tax.
Dale Copeland is the mayor of Bartlesville. He is also the owner of Copeland Appliance there. He explains how online sales affect the city.
But in the business I'm in, for instance, if somebody is doing their entire kitchen, it can amount to hundreds of dollars. You multiply that across the city and across the state, and Bartlesville has calculated based on university studies and things, we may be losing as much as $1 million in sales taxes a year in Bartlesville.
Kyer says in Tulsa, the annual loss of sales tax revenue from internet sales is $10 to $20 million annually. There is no law that requires out-of-state companies to collect online sales taxes for individual states. In March, Governor Mary Fallin announced an agreement with Amazon to start collecting taxes and remitting them to Oklahoma.
And the fact that there's kind of this agreement that Amazon will now collect and remit, I think falsely leads people to think the problem is fixed, but it most certainly is not.
Kyer explains why the Amazon agreement will not be a windfall for the state.
If the purchase is being made directly from Amazon, the tax will be collected, but if they're simply the platform for another retailer, and so when you go on Amazon, it's somebody else is actually handling that purchase, there is no tax being charged there.
And even though state law requires citizens to pay taxes for what they buy online, it's a requirement that's not enforced.
The numbers I've heard vary a bit from the OTC, from 4 to 6% of people actually do that. So it's very easy to work backwards and understand that 90% of people don't do that.
A year ago, what's called the Oklahoma Retail Protection Act was signed into law.
It helps us work with the businesses to register and collect the taxes.
But the fact of the matter is the state can't control interstate commerce. That's the Fed's job. And Congress has not been able to reach any kind of an agreement on how to level the playing field.
The Senate a few years ago, in fact, approved what was called marketplace fairness. It has different names as it evolves. The House, on the other hand, has never taken that up and carried it through to completion. And because of that, this inequity remains.
So for now, the Oklahoma Tax Commission is dependent on the goodwill of big retailers to voluntarily comply with the Oklahoma Retail Protection Act.
About a year ago, we sent to the top internet retailers the information on this act. And so far, we have 64 of the top 100 that are currently collecting tax, and we're in the process of working with many of the others.
Ross says there is no way to yet determine how that will affect Oklahoma sales tax collections, but last month they were up by 6.4%.